Welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show live on this Thursday morning, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Stop in and check out great selections over there at Go Express Auto Sales. Ate lunch with our guy Nick Richard yesterday from Go Chevrolet. Things to be going in the right direction. Yes.
You proud of yourself for that?
All things good. No. I'm proud. I'm happy for them.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
good.
New venture for those guys, and not quite a year in, but things seem to be working out, and very much appreciate what they do for the Jordy Culotta Show. If you follow recruiting, odds are you are locked in with our next guest, Shay Dixon, who does it just about as good as anybody out there over at Go247, has great relationships, has great information. If you are not subscribed to Go247, you should probably do that here during fall camp to keep up with what the latest is as far as information goes. They also have crystal ball picks on recruits that is coming up. Early signing period coming up in December. Late signing period coming up in February, so let's jump right into it. Shay Dixon is here. It's good to see you, sir. Welcome back. Good morning.
Yes, I got the...
Smell fantastic.
The smell.
I don't know. You don't like to give away that scent, do you?
Jacquard Noir?
It's okay. It's okay if you want to keep it a secret, but...
no, it's a spice bomb.
Okay. Very curious. That smells great.
Like a bath bomb?
What's a spice bomb?
So it's not,
the brand.
this is not a cologne?
It is.
Okay.
It has to be.
Okay, well, I mean, you made it sound like it was a soap.
Yeah.
That's a soap. That I can get behind. Cologne is one step too far.
Get on Sephora, boys. Get yourself worked out here.
There you go.
I've got this. This is perfect timing. There is a new crystal ball pick for
Yes, I
basketball.
saw that.
Chance Westry, a kid who, Deshaun London, who works for 24/7, put in the first pick and said that maybe today he's going to go ahead and pop for LSU. But this is a kid out of Arizona, small forward, who I think right now they have the number 13 class.
Mm-hmm.
If he commits today or tomorrow, whenever. They would have the number 3 class, I think, behind Ohio State and maybe North Carolina or Kansas, maybe.
Wow.
But number 1 in the SEC.
Kansas just got a big commitment. Steady working, bro.
Doing Will Wade things.
Steady work. Will Wade just being Will Wade.
Party at Phil's Oyster Bar.
Just sounds like a Wednesday.
Yeah.
So LSU first day off. Before we get into recruiting, before we get into what's going on for future guys, what have you thought of the present day? That wide receiver group, Shay. Goodness gracious, man. But what have been your early thoughts of camp?
Good energy. You can tell that the team is making up for the lost time they didn't have last year when they had no spring ball, when they had fall camp that got stretched and pushed back. And a lot of the guys have just talked about how much time they spend around each other, which they didn't get to do last year in terms of, when you left, you had to go home and go to your apartment and don't risk anything. So now they're all hanging out, and you can tell they've got a good team bond. I think these new coaches, 6 of 10 on-field coaches is a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot. And they were halfway before you even got to the summer with James Craig and then having to hire Brad Davis. But you can tell Brad Davis, I think, is big for the O-line. I think OC-wise, you see Pete's moving around. And Blake Baker, another one, at linebacker, all those guys love him. But I thought Damone Clark talked about it this week well, that, look, it wasn't that I think the median age of the staff dropped by like 20 years with that. And he said it's just one of those things now where Pete's is out there running the routes. Blake Baker's out there in cleats at practice, working with the linebackers. So it's a bit more hands-on. They've continued to say that nothing's too small, right? That communication's key, which we saw last year was a massive issue for them. So it's camp and it's a week, so you don't take a lot from it. But you can tell they have a little bit new energy to them.
Speaking of the new linebackers coach and one name that seems to be popping out of that group that not necessarily has been around a lot of attention is Jared Small.
Right.
What do you know about him, and what do you expect? It seems like, he's going to play.
Yeah, and I think that probably, too, you look back to the spring, and Bug Strong was banged up a bit, their number 1 JUCO guy that they signed, and Micah Baskerville wasn't even there.
Yeah.
So, in Blake Baker's mind, he puts his team through the first camp, and he's got Damone in the middle, and he's got Jared Small. And, you put a vet like that out there who knows what he's going to do. He can, kind of show the young guys behind him, what all the reps look like, how to study, whatever it might be in the film room. And then you get to this fall camp, and like we're a week in, well, this is his first week ever, to Blake Baker, to work with Micah Baskerville in a camp. It's his first week ever to work with Mike Jones in a camp, who got here this summer. So I don't think it's a big surprise that they came back out with Damone and Jared Small again as the guys that were there in the spring. And you say, look, they're the first team. They're the first team guys. However you want to tab it, they're the guys out there first, and then you fill in from there. But Baskerville, Jones, Strong, those guys are all going to play a lot. I would think Mike Jones, the hope is that he starts at weak side linebacker, but we'll see. But I think there's a rotation of about 4 or 5 of them, and they'll have 2 linebackers on the field at all times. So,
what do you make of the story of Sage Ryan getting some reps at nickelback? Does that tell you that they're pretty sturdy at safety, or that they're just trying to find a crack to get this talented freshman on the field?
I think a little bit of both. In his recruitment, he had talked a bit about they want me at safety, but I can play nickel. And we saw in high school at LCA, he played every position on both sides of the ball. So it's not out of his wheelhouse. And for them, I think they want Cordell Flott to be that guy. But if he gets banged up or isn't playing well, who do you go to? Cameron Lewis was your only other nickel you were practicing in the spring. So I think they want to see what Sage can do there. But, boy, that safety room went from a real issue to we haven't seen him play, but Major Burns appears to be the real deal for him. There's a thought that he might start. You've got this great class of freshmen, and we'll see what guys like Jordan Tolles and them can do. But you feel good at least with a healthy Todd Harris. Jay Ward's been great for him. And then Major Burns, one of those guys, can step in.
Yeah.
I think they'll be good at safety.
I agree with that. That is a position that I thought was a lot of concern for this staff and for this group, and now feels like a very confident position going into to the fall. Wide receiver seems to be another spot that they're looking for at least somebody to step up and solidify that second option. It does not look like that is going to be a problem. It looks like they've got players that just looks like a very, very deep group when you look at them play. I know they're true freshmen, so I hate to speak as if you're counting on them day one, but when I watch them play, it's just tough for me to envision a scenario where they just don't get reps.
Yeah, we were debating this the other day on the board. Let's just see what y'all say. The first name that comes to mind. Who is the last good out-of-state receiver that played at LSU?
Dwayne Bowe?
I was going to say Brandon LaFell.
Yeah, LaFell maybe, right?
LaFell.
Tolliver, maybe. I think, if you go back to but that was, 10 years ago now?
Right.
The state has no problem churning out draft pick type receivers. So it's not a shock that Neighbors and Brian Thomas, Chris Hilton, that all these guys are good. Are they going to be good enough to overtake Dre Jenkins, John Trey Kirkland, guys who have been in the program, or Coy Moore, that have been in the program a while, at least a year plus? We'll see. I think they want them all to be out there and contributing as freshmen. If I had to pick one, and I love them all. And look, all these guys were ranked top 150. These are all legit guys. Brian Thomas might just have the size that makes him a bit different. He's a true X. He was a great player as a junior. Kind of fell off a bit as a senior. Didn't have the same kind of year. But I feel like maybe Chris Hilton stole all the thunder. Brian Thomas is a really good player, too.
Yeah.
Be interested to see. And Malik Neighbors is a dog. You forget about him because he didn't even play his senior year.
Right.
Doesn't look like he took a year off. I mean, he's the most physically fit one out there. It's a good group. I'm interested to see. Deion Smith might have the most upside of all of them.
Yeah.
He was the highest ranked one. Talk about out-of-state guys. Mississippi's #1 player. So we'll see. I think it's going to be Jure and Kayshawn on the outsides to start. But beyond Kayshawn, I don't think anybody's locked in, right?
What are you hearing on Trey Palmer?
That over the summer he had turned that corner, and then they want him to kind of stick there in camp. I mean, you guys have been to practice. Mickey Joseph will ride Trey Palmer from the second we're in there till the end. I mean, you can tell he wants him to stay focused, stay in line. He's got the natural talent. We saw him. They put him back there on punts. He gets it back for a touchdown. I mean, he's got natural athleticism. Coy Moore, him, a couple good slot options. John Trey Kirkland, guys like that. I think maybe we'll see them all play.
Do you think that punt return might have been the worst thing that could have happened to him? Just because it was such a flash, and then everybody expects something from Trey Palmer every time he touches the field.
Right. Yeah, maybe. I think last year was a weird year for everybody, and I think he just lumped into that too. So as a sophomore, now as a junior, I think he's got to be locked in. So this is his chance. If you're not coming through now in fall camp and to start this year, you're just falling more and more behind the 8 ball because these freshmen are that good.
You were very high on
I was massively high on Trey Palmer coming out of high school.
Yes, but you were also massively high on Armani Goodwin coming in. And to see him for the first, he doesn't look like a freshman.
No.
And it definitely looks like they're trying. It feels like when you're just out there, and this is very selected time. I mean, it's 25 minutes at the most, but it seems like a lot like Besh, they are trying to find ways to use Goodwin to make sure that he's caught up on stuff. Am I reading that correctly?
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely, you see Falk putting a lot of time in there. This is a guy who's 5'7", 5'8", but he's really filled out in the lower body. And, it's like a Clyde. It's tough to get a hand on a guy that's 5'7", 5'8", and can move like that. So I think that they want to get him out in space, catch the football. we've seen Pete's working a lot with him on catching, on toss plays. So the goal would be to get him outside the tackle box, right? To get him to the edges and see what he can do. I'm still, as high as I am on those guys, I was just as higher on John Emery and Ty Davis coming out of high school. And they're in money years, so there's no reason you're not leaning on those guys. I thought O said it well when people were talking, he was talking about the new freshmen and how they look. He said, make no bones about it, Ty and John are the starters, and they are the guys that absolutely have to rise up here if we're going to find a running game to help this quarterback situation out, which I think is a must. I mean, going through camp, if they don't have a run game figured out, they're in for a long season. So they need Ty Davis and John to be there, to be healthy. Ty Davis has been banged up this week, nothing serious, but gives John more reps, gives those young guys reps. But no matter what, it's got to be John and Ty. No. If you're sitting there leaning on Armani Goodwin a bunch this year, you're probably in a rough spot.
Yeah, I agree. Offensive line standpoint, it seems like they've been. It's tough to tell anything from what we're getting and gaining. Have you heard anything on anybody making any moves along that front, or anybody standing out in the first week?
You know, I think, we just wanted to know who the left tackle was, and we figured it would be Cam Wire. That's definitely the choice. And Decula said he's got that job now locked in. They're putting all the reps on him. They want to see him make that leap from, a couple of times starting and being a backup to Dare to being the guy. And Decula's talked about how this summer after Dare left, you could see that Wire kind of elevated things even more, realizing that, oh, damn, this is about to happen. Like, I've got to go now. And he said he looks good in camp. There was that battle at right guard, and I think they want to get Anthony Bradford onto the field. O's been saying that since the spring, really, and even into last year. But I've heard Chasen Hines looks really good. He's having a good, solid camp. I know he missed a day or two in there, but I would think that the starting offensive line will look exactly like it did a year ago, minus Cam Wire being the new left tackle. Yeah. And then the first guys off the bench would be Bradford on the inside, and I think Dellinger, their new guy, on the outside. He seems to be cross-training at the tackle spots.
Earlier this week, Trevor Etienne, the brother of Travis Etienne, whittled down his schools to a Final Five. Clemson and LSU in the mix among Alabama, Texas A&M, and Georgia, I believe. Is he similar to his brother, and where does LSU stand?
Yeah, LSU is in the mix. They're in the top 5. They had him at camp. I think this one comes down to, and right now Bama and Georgia have a couple running backs committed. So, and one of them, like for instance, Bama has Le'Veon Moss out of Baton Rouge. Yeah. Well, LSU has one running back committed, Citizen out of Lake Charles. If Moss flips to LSU or something like that, well, then maybe a guy like Trevor Etienne becomes more in play for a Bama because now they're down to one running back commit. But right now, with where everything sits, I think that LSU, Florida, and Clemson are probably the teams people are watching. I was talking with Anna at the Clemson site this morning, and she said that, Dabo is the type, they only hand out like 18 offers a cycle. Yeah. And if you get one, you're committing. Like, there's like not many kids that turn it down. And he's the only running back they've offered that's not committed anywhere. So they're in it. But Florida's in it. He likes their staff. And he said, look, if I go to Florida, it'd be easy for my mom to go to my game on Saturday and go watch my brother on Sunday. Brother plays for Jacksonville. LSU, it would be easy. He was saying my whole family would be here. They could all go see me on Saturdays. So I think there's that sort of proximity connection that worked for LSU and Florida right now that's probably got them. Some people think those are the two top teams, so we'll see what happens.
Latest on Matthews, Jacoby?
Nothing crazy new. I mean, I think this one, he talked about LSU and A&M in an interview this past week on 24/7, but I think the vibe right now is that he's feeling things out, but most people around it say this one's going to come back around to LSU. I mean, you got to remember all of his buddies that, hell, he was recruiting, half of them are committed into the class. So I think he sees that and says, okay, that's what I wanted to be a part of. I felt good about it. Check things out, and my guess is that he comes back around to LSU.
Swerve inside of the bunker's got a couple of questions for Shay Dixon. Big Swerve wants to know about Shaz Preston, and then about, is it Kendrick Law?
Yeah. You love Shaz Preston. That's
love
your
him.
guy.
Love him.
You know who else loves Shaz Preston? Bama loves Shaz Preston, too.
Does Shaz Preston love Bama?
He was good in that Crimson.
He did a visit there with his mom.
I saw that.
Yeah, because she had not been before.
Right.
His brother goes to state, Sean, so they're an SEC family. It'll be LSU or Bama. I still think LSU's in a good spot. A.J. Johnson's not in the class anymore. You've only got 2 receivers committed. He's no doubt one of their top guys, so I still like where they sit there. But I think that's an LSU. It used to be Georgia had buzz, all these schools. I think it's LSU or Bama. With Kendrick Law, Florida State used to be the school. Now I think it's LSU, Bama. Bama was trying to get back in Louisiana this cycle, and now we're talking about the guys still uncommitted, so they're obviously going to be on him. But Law's a type where we thought he might play DB, and now it's no doubt that he's playing running back receiver. He says that's what everyone's telling me. They just have him as
athlete, right?
Right, just listed as an athlete, but Pete's and, I don't know, Bill O'Brien or whoever's at Bama, he said pretty much every staff now is telling him you'll be the jet sweep type slot receiver, getting into the backfield some, playing some running back, whatever it might be. Yeah, like a Waddle type. So be interested to see how that plays out. I think we sleep on him. He's got arguably the best track times in the state. Phenomenal player. You're a bit, at least for us, right? We're in Baton Rouge. If you're playing at Captain Shreve, you're kind of out of sight, out of mind. You know, we're kind of tuned into the Lafayette, Baton Rouge, New Orleans scene of it all. But he's a really good player. He'll finish top 5 in the state, no doubt, which is a deep class.
That is, it's a compliment for this class.
Any update on Dwight? And there was no word of it, but I saw like on Ed Ingram Snapchat, he's got a little cast in that little wheel cart.
Yeah, there's a couple of guys have been banged up. I know Glenn Logan's been banged up some, and then Dwight got banged up at practice. I think it was the start of this week, but it doesn't sound like it was as bad as they initially thought it was, which is good. If he can, like, he looks the part, boy. He's long. He's filled out. And if he's not even a starter for you, you're in a great spot. So I think they'll probably, with especially guys like him, Glenn Logan, guys in the 2 deep, just give them time off. Take your time. You'll be fine. And, you know, Glenn Logan, this is 6th camp or whatever. He doesn't need to be out. You're fine. Right. As long as you're in shape, you're good to go. McGlothern, I think they just want to give him some time and see kind of how the tweak heals up.
It has been very impressive that, his time is not, it's not now for him, but when it does come, it'll be exciting to watch him play. Is Nussmeier, is Garrett Nussmeier? How are they handling him this camp now that he's the backup quarterback on this team, and what do you expect from him in kind of this season and then obviously budding into?
Right, he's a pretty good quarterback. I think there's a lot of people who thought that Walker Howard would just come in and skip over Garrett Nussmeier, and I don't think that's a given.
Right. I was one of those, by the way.
Garrett's a really good player, too. Yeah. And Walker, look, I think Walker's the #1 quarterback in the country right now, but Garrett was a top 100 player, played at a high level at Marcus in Texas, and he got better every year, which out of quarterbacks is exactly what you want, is that sophomore to senior year development, and you're improving across completion percentage and all these things, and he did that. And we saw him in the spring game where it was, I think he had like 3 picks or something. Yeah. But at the time, he was the 4th quarterback, and you're like, I don't throw 7, bro. Just keep slanging it.
Man, dude, he's going to be playing for another couple years anyway.
You look good, bro. And then all of a sudden, it's the #2 quarterback. It's like, bro, you need to chill out. Hone it in.
Right.
But
don't go Nathan Peterman on me.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I think that Max, maybe one of them talked about it this week, that Garrett's starting to really realize now is when you're the #2 guy, it's I'm making my right reads. I'm not just out here having fun. Having fun with it. But you've heard it from the receivers. He throws a good ball. It's clean. I think too. It just, Keyshawn Butte talked about this. A left-handed quarterback's just awkward. None of these guys usually have ever played with a left-handed quarterback before. You can go all the way to the NFL and you've never played with a left-handed quarterback at any level. So Keyshawn's talked about the adjustment to Max and how much emphasis they have to put on timing and the ball coming out differently and all of that. And then when you get back to Nussmeier, you're like back in your comfort zone. It's a righty. He slings it right at me. But we've seen Jake Peets. They've got 2 walk-ons in camp. And at least in the time that we're all out there, the walk-ons don't really get any reps. And in a normal time, they'd be going through the drills too. It's all Max, take a couple turns. Nuss, you get a turn or 2. Max, you take 3 turns.
Yeah, it is.
Nuss, you get a turn or 2. So they're trying to bring him along more quickly, obviously, than they had expected. But he's getting the reps a #2 would, which we didn't think was going to be a spot he'd be in this quickly.
Yeah, for sure. Last one for you on the defensive line. Very deep group. You mentioned Logan, and he's a little banged up, and I'm with you. At this point, just as long as he's in shape and is ready to go come first weekend in September, he'll be fine. But this is what Orgeron said he was going to do, right? When he was permanently named the head coach, this is what he wanted to produce, this type of defensive line. Is this the group that that he's been recruiting towards?
No doubt. And they benefited certainly by convincing these guys to come back. I mean, you've got Logan and Farrell and Anthony, and look, those guys weren't going to be first-round picks, but I can remember after that Mississippi State game a year ago when a lot of people thought Ollie Gay was about to just like shut it down.
Right.
You're a first-round talent, bro.
Yeah.
So don't forget that y'all thought that at one point. So that's how talented this room can be, at least with the older guys, the seniors. All those guys are seniors. But now they've got that depth. He loves Joe Evans. Mason Smith is obviously a beast. Jaquelin Roy is a beast. You've got guys like Savion Jones signed now. B.J. Ojolari might be the best D lineman on the team. It's certainly the best pass rusher. So this is what they've been waiting on, and they're deep there. If they can stay healthy and not have any like major rash of injuries, then they're going to be pretty good. And I'm still in the boat. I think Mason Smith starts week 1. I don't see why you wouldn't be starting Mason Smith in week 1 if he looks as good as they say he does. And
He's the biggest guy out there.
no doubt, and he looks great.
He does.
I
look
mean,
great.
he ain't fat. He ain't nothing.
No.
So wearing the 0,
Yes.
be out there.
First player ever for LSU to wear 0?
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
it
they
just,
just
line, you know
just
you're
became
cold.
legal.
Right.
But yeah, he looks fantastic.
He's a skinny fridge.
What number was Ego Ferguson?
9.
9. I don't know why I was thinking 0 there. But yeah.
Ego.
The single digit line is
Dog.
throwback.
Nobody will ever wear 9 again, huh?
That's right. No,
Is
no.
there-
After Ego, no
After
one, right?
Ego, yeah.
No, definitely not, bro.
Who's that Ohio kid?
Who was the other 9
no.
on the night? Was it Marcel Brooks?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have the dual jerseys.
I mean, that's a collector's item. Yeah, right?
That was his claim to fame.
And that was it. That was
The-
gone.
Lloyd was doing
he a
the
wide
Florida
receiver,
dance
TCU now?
movement.
He's a wide receiver at TCU now.
Yeah, is he? He had bounced around on defense. I knew that. I just didn't know where he ended up.
Imagine if we
What
saw
a
that.
what a waste if they
Y'all are
if they
back out
can't
there
get him
today?
out there.
Unbelievable. Are y'all back out there today?
Yeah.
Covering?
Right, this
Yeah,
afternoon.
done a great job. Go 247. Remember, get with them online. Follow Shay on Twitter, on social media, obviously, to keep up with the latest recruiting news.
The
Anything,
Will Wade news. We had basketball news today.
anything we leave out from recruiting? Is there anything?
It's a
happening?
dead period right now,
Yes,
so
dead
nothing's
period,
happening.
right? Yeah.
Not for Will Wade. It's no dead period. It's not making
Dead
noise out
period.
here.
Still talking about dead.
That's when it heats up.
Yeah,
Dead drop.
right. He went and took somebody out of Alabama's video department.
Yeah.
Just
Just to do it.
Just to do
fucking with
it.
Nate Oates.
Hey, Nate.
Yeah, right.
I'm still thinking.
All right, Shay, good to see you, bro.
Yeah,
Thanks for stopping
good to
by.
see all of y'all.
Good stuff today. Thanks for being out there. Like, share, comment on the post. JordyCulottaShow.com. Get the merchandise. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning to close out the week. Possibly coming to you tomorrow from Tulane's football facility.
Yep.
Looks
Hey,
like
if we
that's
could
going
pull,
to
it
happen.
looks like we could pull this off what we did this
could do
morning.
that.
Happen,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
Looks like that could happen.
Road
So-
trip? Road trip.
Road tripping down in New Orleans. So
Got all the snacks.
stay tuned.
Gotta buy
That's
a
all we
fruity.
care about.
Have a great Thursday. We're back with you tomorrow.